I have a friend, and it's not an imaginary friend, it's an actual friend of mine. I have a friend who, toward the middle of April, begins to wear short sleeves and clothing made out of lighter fabric. And if there is even just a spike up in the temperatures, he may even wear shorts. And when I give him a look or remark about his choice of clothing, he invariably replies to me, "It's time." And even if the weather takes a turn for the worse, even if my friend has to pick up his winter coat again toward the end of spring, he has already seen the sign of summer. He has seen the signs that summer is approaching. He has faith that summer will get here and that the clothes he's been putting on will finally be ready for the actual time. And so he is preparing. He's preparing for the arrival of summer by wearing the attire before summer arrives. Now, while I get a kick out of needling my friend for what I always considered premature summer behavior, it occurred to me as I was reading this gospel that my friend's behavior and declaration that the time had come are a remarkable illustration of an Advent attitude. It is an attitude of confident and watchful expectation of something that has not yet arrived, but that will invariably happen. It is about situating himself in the in-between space of the now and not yet. So even before what he's hoping for arrives, he is getting ready. And in Jesus' apocalyptic utterances to his disciples about the signs of the coming of the end of the age, of cosmic disturbances in the sun, the moon, and the stars, of distress among the nations, of a world becoming unmoored, he invites his disciples to take on an Advent attitude. No, that's not what Jesus calls it. Advent is the church's liturgical and theological creation to exemplify faithful witness to God's promise to come and save us. But Jesus is inviting his disciple to take on that attitude, to get ready for what is inevitably going to happen. It is the season that invites us to anticipate God's work through Christ, to conquer once and for all the power of sin and death and violence and restore the entire creation. Jesus invites the disciples to get ready for a word that we hear all the time. Get ready for salvation. And see, all around them, the signs of pending destruction are there. And they're just looking at how nation wars against nation, how people hurt and oppress other people, how people exploit the creation. And Jesus had even just talked to them about how the temple would not last. It will fall. It will pass away. And all of all of these things that occur, all these signs are starting to create fear and cynicism and discouragement. People are starting to wonder, this world is just a shame. What's going to happen? And then there are people who take advantage of this fear and foreboding, and they start preaching doomsday. And they preach that these signs are an indication of a fiery end of the world when warring factions in the battle of Armageddon will fight to the finish. And then Christ will come again. But Jesus doesn't look at those signs that way and invites the disciples to look at the signs differently. Jesus tells them to get ready, not for the fiery end of the world, a time which nobody but God knows, but for redemption. Get ready for redemption. Get ready for justice. Get ready for things being made right once and for all. And so what Jesus does, which I love, it's kind of subtle, but Jesus, he cautions his disciples, read the signs better. That's what Jesus just told them. Be better sign readers. Because the stuff that's going around doesn't quite get at what's happening here. Read the signs better, because if you read the signs better, then you won't be afraid. You won't be in despair. You won't look at the world and say, oh, I just want to escape it. You won't look at the world and hate everybody in it. You know what I'm talking about. There are people who either hate everybody in the world and they want to get away from the world. But Jesus is telling you, if you're better readers of the signs, you won't be afraid. You won't be trying to escape. Rather, if you read the signs, you will be hopeful. You will be ready for it, because you know that summer is coming. You know that the day of redemption is coming. You know that salvation is coming. You'll be happy. You'll be joyous. You'll be ready, because God's justice is coming. And Jesus exhorts them. This is the beauty of it. So if someone like, well, how am I supposed to act? Don't live in fear. Don't sit around worrying about when the end will come. Don't waste your time on self-indulgent and petty amusements of the world. I'm just going to enjoy it because it's going to be gone tomorrow. You know, I'm going to have as much fun as I can. I'm going to do whatever I want to do because it's coming. No, that's not what Jesus is saying. He says, raise your head up and wait for the salvation that is coming. Put on your summer clothes in anticipation of summer. Embrace God's future now, even though it's not here yet. Get ready for Jesus to come and usher in God's redemption of all creation. Live life as a people who trust and believe that Jesus conquered the forces of sin and death, and that will come and do it again. This is the Advent attitude. It is the hope that we speak and sing about, that day of restoration, reconciliation, and salvation, when all wrong will be made right. In Advent, here's what it is. So again, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you to go out and say, now let me go and do Advent today. No, there's nothing we can do. It's already been done. Oh, see, you looking at me like, what is he talking about? It's already been done. The promise has been made. Jesus went to the cross and died, conquered death, and it's already been done. So if someone comes with a long list of things you got to do, you're like, I don't think so. Put on the Advent attitude. Prepare, ready, live the future now. Live the future now. Talk about the promises of God. Live like people who know that salvation is here. If you live, well, how does that look, Pastor? How do I live as if salvation is already here? Do justice. Live justice. Live love and peace. So that when people look at you, they're like, why are these people, you hear it all the time. People ought to be looking at us all the time. These people just love so much. What's wrong with them? That's the Advent. Put on your summer clothes and get ready. You see, the expectation that Jesus coming to our midst should not be a source of distress. The revelation of God's presence should not be a fearful prospect. And if it is a source of distress, if it is a fearful prospect, can we say that we have faith? If you're worried about it, is that faith? That's why I get so confused by the people who keep complaining about a war on Christmas. That's odd to me. I mean, why are you worrying about what people think about Christmas? What do you care? The Advent attitude is that you're preparing for God to save the world. You don't care what people are buying on Christmas, if they put up a Christmas tree or not, or if they say Merry Christmas or not. Well, I want people to say, I love you, brother, and I'm going to make sure that justice is done. Don't say Merry Christmas to me. Put on the Advent attitude. It is about bearing witness to God's determination to make things right for us, to do justice, to love us, to take care of all this creation now that seems so broken. And that's why I'm confused by some other things. I'm confused by the people who say, and I grew up around them all the time, and I'm not being mean to them. I'm serious. They said, Christ is coming back, and yet they seem very sad. Christ is coming back, and yet they seem angry and fearful. I couldn't understand it. If Christ is coming back, shouldn't that be a joyous occasion? Shouldn't that be, wow, Christ is coming back? No, it's Christ is coming back, and boy, you're just horrible. If Christ is coming back, that should be a source of joy. And it made me wonder, why have we been praying, thy kingdom come, if we didn't mean it? We pray it all the time, thy kingdom come. Oh, do you really want the kingdom to come? If you don't, stop praying it. Because if the kingdom is coming, it should be a source of joy. This is the Advent I'm talking about. Where is our hope? Where was that joy about the kingdom coming? Where was the expectation of God's justice finally coming to make things right? This is a very interesting time for us. That in our Advent celebration, in our Advent posture, in our showing up in the world, we have to be the people who understand that the promise of a new heaven and a new earth is a trustworthy promise, and that God will make it happen someday, and we will live it now in anticipation of it arriving. Put on your summer clothes. Get ready. Get ready. We have an opportunity to witness to a different way of living in the season. Notice, I haven't gone on a tirade about the consumerism of Christmas. The reason I haven't is because it is irrelevant to the Advent attitude. If you have an Advent attitude, whether you purchase something or not, or how much you do, will make no sense to this way of being in the world. Because what we will be doing, or we will be people living in anticipation of the new heaven and the new earth that God has promised us. And people will see it and wonder, why do these people hold up this light? Why do they look so happy? Why are they joyous? Why are they so hopeful when all around us is so horrible? It is because we believe and trust that God will do right by us. So, I have not attempted to take your typical Advent celebration away from you, but I want us to take on an attitude where, as Jesus told the disciples, we stand up and we raise our heads and we trust in the promised redemption. We read the signs correctly, not to stoke fear, not to make people feel distress, not to divide and conquer the world, not to divide ourselves and say we got it right and they don't, not to demonize the other or someone of a different faith. That's not how we read the signs correctly. But we read the signs correctly, where we put the focus on God's coming salvation. Our Advent attitude is about putting on the posture and the witness of a people who are just simply ready for it all to break through. Ready for the good that God promised to come through. And you'll know it when someone is like that. You'll see it. You'll see that spirit, that sweet, sweet spirit, that they know that it is not all about what's going on around us, that there is an in-between space, the space between the now and the not yet, where we are watchful and ready for something good to shake loose. We are watching and waiting for Jesus to return to make things right. Between the now and not yet, we participate as if it is so. We participate in the new heaven and the new earth. So put on your summer clothes and get ready. Amen.